We often think our voice isn't reaching far enough, but it's not that your ripple is weak. It's that you've been surrounded by noise. All the AI experts, the fake hype, the endless tactics, all of it's drowning out the thing that actually works: your clarity. Hi, my name's Steve Kidd. I am a third generation minister, international best-selling author of 39 books and counting. I've had the amazingly wonderful privilege of helping nearly 5,000 people now write, publish, market their books to bestseller, and everything that goes beyond that. And what I'm here to do today is to not just motivate you, but to give you the actual cure for the lack of visibility that you're feeling, for that unseen, stuck, unknown, oh my gosh, I wish if only the world could know feeling that all of us have had. And I'm here to help you move beyond that, to see past that, and have the thing that makes that really truly work, makes you really truly work, I should say. And that is this amazingly cool thing called clarity. Clarity is powerful. It's when we're clear. You see, AI can't come in and tell you who you are. It can only take what you tell it and reflect back to you who you are. And if told it you're a horrible person, it's going to think you're a horrible person. That doesn't necessarily make it the truth. It makes it the lie that we've bought into ourselves and that we're now feeding to the world. And it just becomes that so true on every different level that we deal with because, right now we're in an amazingly wonderful time. And I have the advantage of having been in the early pioneer bleeding, literally the cutting edge, the air in front of the bleeding edge of the internet, and when it first came on and all those kind of things. And it's so easy to get lost in the noise. It's so easy to look for the right strategy, the right algorithm. If you just take one more course, if you just learn one more lesson, and every single time you take them, and I know this because I've done it myself for years, for decades. And this is while, all the things I just talked about, 39 books of my own, 5,000 authors, blah, 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 blah. And I have a radio show that's 11 years old, and I've been so blessed. I've had people on my radio show that literally have been on the Oprah show. I've had people on my radio show that are multi-billionaires, and they're just as cool and just as incredible as, the stay-at-home moms that I've had on my show. And I've been able to glean a lot of insight in that, and yet even still find myself searching for that one more magic course, that AI prompt that's going to put it all together. And we don't see the ripples that we're already creating because all we hear is everybody else's noise. And all we see is that other people are making bigger ripples. But more importantly than that, we don't have the clarity. We're tapping the water with a concept, a thought, as best as we know how it version. And so we take a minor version of ourself, and usually it's like a corner of you. And often, and this is not to diss any coaches, I think they're all amazing. But most of the time, that's being defined to you because of what particular bent that particular coach has. And so we end up in the space where we're doing what's been given to us and told to us we are, versus knowing who we are and then bringing that to. I've been going through a 5-day challenge this week, and I've been enjoying it, and it's a lot of fun. And I think there's going to be either a course or the messaging that's going to make one of the courses that I've already created allow you to be like, oh, hey, yeah, I really do need that. Okay. And so I've been really enjoying it. But one of the things I noticed early on, in fact, I did the first lesson and then I did the, what do you call it? Oh gosh, they went in my brain. The homework. There you go. See, I mean, just totally gone, lost all of my mind. All right. I mean, you can tell it's casual, laid back Saturday. I'm in my one of my favorite Star Wars T-shirts. Sat back in my chair. We kind of did casual Saturday twice. Because yesterday we were out in the beautiful surroundings of all of that great piece of property, and all the belief and all that there, and we definitely did that yesterday with all the wind noise, and I hope you could hear it okay. So I was doing the homework, and I just kind of went through and listened to the lesson and then did the homework, and and I did that same thing then for the second day of it, and then it came to the lesson for the third day of it, and I was like, and I stopped. Part of it was because I like to use AI as a powerful tool versus a crutch. And I've seasoned my AI to the point, I mean, I've given it a ton of stuff. I have an advantage. Okay. I have 10 years of radio show. I have 39 books. And I do these lives every single day. So I have a ton of content that I've fed and trained ChatGPT to really know me. And I've got a ton of it. Whenever I use a different AI or any of those kind of things, I've got just a ton, too much in some respects. But more data is always more to really help it be able to glean who that is. And so I wanted to bring in that tool to be able to really get the right answer. But then I realized, that because your results are going to only be as good as your data, right? So if you just give it lesson 3, and a lot of us run into this problem. I'm always telling authors this. That's why I always tell you, take one point, make it really clear, and give them a clear action from that point. And when you have a second point, which we all do, make that a second book. Because here's the problem. Here's human nature. Okay, I'll pick on myself. Okay, my first book was called 10 Things. It was actually originally called Have to Have, and then I changed the title and republished it as Must Have. To succeed in life and business. And I just kind of took everything. I verbal vomited everything. I mean, I was initially intending to create a little 10-thing checklist that would be 1 or 2 pages that was a free giveaway. 110 pages later, I had written a book. Okay. But the problem with, and that one, doesn't really, one doesn't build on 10. It's 10 separate things. But even in that, I ended up re-releasing it as 10 separate individual books, because you need to, at the end of each of those, and I need to re-release those books again. I need to re-update them. I should do that before our Thanksgiving promotion, because they really need to have like a little worksheet at the end of each one of them to help people with that. And we need to drive them more than what they really do. It's things that you learn from way back when I was writing the first book and then re-releasing them as 10 books. But the point I was making, sorry, I totally distracted my own self with really powerful, really good stuff. And the point is this. If you have 10 steps, 5 steps, 3 steps, whatever, okay, it doesn't matter how many steps. Human nature is, number one, even though when we tell them, perfect example of this is the amazing book Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. Love that book. And if you haven't read it, get it in audio. Mike is hilarious. One of the best audiobooks I've ever gotten and been blessed to be able to listen to. But Mike even has a place in the book where he says, don't go forward until you do what I just told you to do. Has a, section, has a workbook, has a, homework assignment, and you're supposed to do it before you move on. Well, here's human nature, and, and guilty as charged. Okay. Human nature is we want to accomplish it. We want to finish the whole thing. And so what we do is, we set in our minds, okay, I'm going to go back, then I'm going to do it step by step. Okay, but we continue reading the whole book, right? Same thing's true with your course. This is why, it's kind of often good to drip your course material out to people, meaning give them one lesson, have them have to do the stuff before they get the second lesson. Or if it's or if it's like a 5-day challenge, then tomorrow they'll get the stuff. I like that do element as the trigger versus it being time, so that a person could take all 5 steps, 10 steps, 200 steps, whatever you've got that's in that particular course, and they can, bam, run through them based on the fact that they do it. Okay. But, back on, just a little bonus tip for you. The whole concept is that we take that point and then we need them to take the action on that before they get book 2, before they get, lesson 2, before that kind of thing. Because again, like you said, human nature is that, and if it's something as simple as, and I've got a lot of courses, mostly because of the framework that they're built in. And then I need to see if there's one that I can find that does do that triggering, because I think that would be much more powerful. Or it's going to need to trigger it. Yeah, I could probably trigger it through an automation in ChatGPT or in a Go High Level. Anyway, I'm working out my business right here in front of you, and that's fun for you to get to see too. They need to take that action to do that thing, because human nature, again, like I said, is to want to see what lesson 2 is, and want to see what chapter, read the whole entire book. Well, here's the thing, okay? And again, whether you're talking 10 chapters, I'm not saying necessarily your book's going to be 1 chapter. In most cases, when you take that 1 point, you're going to get 4, 5, 6, 8, 10, sometimes even 20 chapters out of explaining that and making, in other words, you're taking that 1 point, you're making it really clear, and you're giving them or walking through. There may be multiple steps in the action of that 1 point. I use this in my Write Your Bestseller in 1 Hour workshop. You can find versions of that on my YouTube channel if you don't want to wait until the next time I do it live. And I talk about how how the one thing could be that you need to be you need to drink water right now, immediate action. Okay. And we talk about the difference between the immediate action we want them to take and then the next step. Okay. So in this particular case, we're overall talking about the hydration revolution and how well hydrated you need to be, for lifestyle, that kind of thing. All right. But the one point is, this is why you need to be hydrated now. Not today, but right now. We want to be action oriented in it, okay? And the clarity, do you begin to see the clarity that becomes that I'm weaving into all this? You see, you're talking about the hydration revolution, and you want to create this giant, massive movement with that mission. However, I know there's always that however, isn't there? However, it's too big. And so we tell them all the stuff rather than saying, hey, we want you to join the hydration revolution. Be with us in the mission to be a hydrated nation that is leaning more on water than on soda. Okay, I mean, that somebody that's more qualified than me should totally write that book. Absolutely. I'm sure John and Chelsea Jubilee are not listening to me, but if they happen to, or if you happen to know them, somebody suggest that to them, because that's really, I mean, that would be a great book for them to write. Anyway, and many of you are like, who's John and Chelsea Jubilee? Check them out. energizedhealth.com. Totally worth it. Helped me. I've already lost 120 pounds. I've got another 60 to 100 that I'm going to lose. And it'll probably be another year, year and a half. It's going to be a long process from here. I do want to try to move from the plateaued place that I am to do that. Totally cool people. And I know that was a total segue that had nothing to do with what we're talking about. So the problem is that people read the whole thing and they get to lesson 10, chapter 10, that big concluding, exciting thing, and they want to do it. When really what they need to do is they need to do step 1. And like I said, it may break down into multiple steps. So step 1 may be you need to go get a drink of water right now. Makes me feel thirsty. Okay, I'll do that. Okay. But there's multiple steps to that. Okay, that's one thing. That's one point. You made it really clear. And you're going to articulate the multiple steps of it. Turn away from your computer. Okay, all of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You just one more thing, one more email. The next social media message comes in. Before you know it, an hour's gone by. And it doesn't matter whether it's making dinner, being hydrated, spend time with the kids, go for your walk. It's real easy to let yourself get distracted with that. Turn away from the computer. Walk across the room. Go to the kitchen. And then you can break it into, get the cup, fill it up with water, drink the water right there, drink X amount of it, you should have, I'm not an hydration expert. I know John Jubilee because I know what he would teach, and he'd tell you, go to the refrigerator, get an entire water bottle or get one out of because when they're refrigerated, they're kind of hard to slam them. And he would tell you, go out there, get a water bottle, drink, out of the little, container or whatever, drink the entire thing right then. Boom, do it all right now. Okay. Right. He's the expert on it. All right. And then probably would suggest, and then grab the second water bottle and bring it back to you at your desk. And then set a timer for yourself so that every 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever, you intentionally are drinking water until it becomes such a habitual pattern. Okay, you see how we've taken that one point of go drink water right now. That's the one thing. In order for you to, begin hydration, it begins right now. Go get some water right now. And that could easily be our whole course, our whole book, our whole 5-day challenge. Okay? That's the one thing. And the problem is that if we skip to the end, I'll use myself for an example, moving into the hydration, doing all those things, and we skip to, and I'm not at the end, but you skip to where I am right now, and you're like, wow, Steve, your face is a lot thinner. You've lost an obvious 100, plus 120 pounds, and you just look healthier. It shows in your face and in your attitude and the fact that you can now, instead of walking to the end of the driveway, you can walk about 4,000 to 5,000 steps a day. That's huge. That's immense. To go from 50 to 100 steps a day to 5,000 is night and day. Okay. But we all, myself included, because in the training, it was like, okay, so one of the things we want you to do starting right now today is walk an hour a day every morning, first thing. And I told, because they have individual coaching, small coaching groups that are part of the bigger group that they have. And I told my coach, I said, there's no way. I said, I'll be lucky if I make it to the end of the driveway. I felt blessed that first day I was able to make it to the end of the driveway. But it was pretty much walk to the end of the driveway, maybe a couple steps. And for a long time there, it was literally, I want to try to make one more step today than what I made yesterday. And then there's these cracks in the road. I walk out on the road and there's these cracks, and they're probably 10 feet, maybe apart from each other. And each one of them is a milestone of when I got to the place where I could be like, Okay, I'm going to, I'm going to make it to that crack. And that would be a couple of days, sometimes even a couple of weeks before I could go further than that. And then it was like, okay, I want to do that, want to do that, and then eventually it's like, what if I could make it all the way around the block? And I'll tell you honestly, I couldn't do it. When I even got to that point, for the longest time it was I finally made it up to the, so it's out our driveway, down, take a right, and up to the corner, and then it was turn around, and then it was make a wider loop turning around, and then it was make a few steps up this road and then come back and turn around. Eventually I got to the place, there's an alley that goes, I mean, really technically if you lived in a neighborhood it would be a block, okay? But out here in the country, it's more like an alley, okay? And I walked, quote unquote, down the alley. So it was half of that particular block, okay? And there were sometimes even then when it's like, no, I can't go that far. I can't do that much today. And I would be just going back to the end of that road in the big tree. And that was for the longest all I could do. And it just grows and grows and grows. You see, it's that step by step. And that's me giving you, if we were writing it out in course format or in book format, that would be me giving you book, probably 1 through 5. That's me getting to the point where, I started in either April or May. I started in May. In fact, I think I started on May the 4th, which is really cool because of the shirt I'm wearing, right? I started on May the 4th, and it was like late September. It was like mid-September ish. Might even been late September before I made it all the way around the block. I mean, it's one of those kind of things, and it grows and grows. And now I'm walking multiple blocks and walking the campus and those kind of things. Now, I used that long example, and maybe I went a little too long with it, to help you understand. You got to walk them through the journey, and you've got to walk you through the journey. But you can't do that until you do step 1. And that's what's missing. Step 1, clarity. AI can give you this amazing, and you can say, hey, there are AI programs that you can tell it, hey, write me an amazing, incredible, in the style of, but in my own voice. This is assuming you've seasoned it well enough to know your voice. Book on the hydration revolution. And it could write the whole book. And it would sound unique and, wouldn't be, quote unquote, one of those AI books, other than it's probably going to have M dashes. And it may have put out a couple of books that had the little emojicons, because I kind of like them. I mean, I kind of like to leave them in there because some of them are really good, some of them I really hate. Okay, it's just personal preference. But seriously, okay, what's missing in that is you, because no matter how well seasoned ChatGPT is, Grok is, Claude is, you name it, no matter how well seasoned they are, they're only as well seasoned as you know you. And until you have your clarity, you're just making little ripples. You can do you can become a #1 international best-selling author and still just be tapping the surface, just making the small, and have your ripples be drowned by the other massively loud, noisy ripples that other people are making. All because of the fact that you're not clear on you. Clarity is possible. It's possible, yes, but it's also powerful. The human voice still moves people more deeply than any hack or shortcut ever will. And you simply starting this clarity journey, which is just beginning to talk. The more you talk, the more you are going to develop a clarity within yourself of who you are. And then you also need the coaching. And you need to be part of Visibility Amplifier community to really hone in that clarity. You need that. We all do. Okay, it's not just you, me too. We all need it. The thing that most people won't say out loud, most of us that are creators are more addicted to posting than we are to the passion and the purpose beneath it. And a lot of, in fact, I'm going to go again to most of us are posting things that aren't based in the basic concept of really, truly, clearly knowing who we are. And until we have that clarity, none of the rest of it's going to rise above the noise. You can be in your own little blue ocean. For those of you that know the difference between the red ocean, blue ocean, where the red ocean is, all the shark frenzy, and the blue ocean is your own peaceful, private little place where when and you have this message that's just like, oh, and we can be in our own little blue ocean. The problem is that ocean is more like a mud. Well, I want to make it clear. So it's more like a goldfish tank. Those little ones that they have that have the opening that's just barely the size of a ping pong ball, and it's easier for it to not fit in there than it is for it to land in there so that you win the little fishy and you take him home with you. That's our blue ocean because that's how clear we are on ourselves. The ocean grows and the ocean invites rivers to flow into it and people to join it, boats to ride on it, fishies to swim in it, and to be the really cool, safe environment. The bigger we make it. We can't help people become giant, megalodon-sized, humongous animals in our little tiny itty bitty fish tank, our little itty bitty goldfish bowl. And we can't grow us beyond that until we learn and know us. We can't make the big ripples until we begin to really big understand us. Does that make sense? Does that help you maybe feel clearer a little bit about why, even though you're splashing the surface and in your pool, it's great big giant ripples there, but your pool's inside of this giant noisy city that is the whole world and all the voices, and nobody can hear the splashing and nobody sees your ripples because they're just in your own backyard and they're not ever anywhere where they make the impact that you're meant to make. So let's change that. Let's change it starting right now today. Go to visibilityamplifier.com. Come join us in the Visibility Amplifier community. We would love to have you there. We're excited to have you be part of what we're going to do in there. We want you to be part of the community. We want you to be visible and valuable. We want you to truly know you. And by doing that, I didn't do my mirror work yet today. Well, I need to do that. In my days, totally, my whole life is completely upended again because my mom and brother are back. That's not a bad thing. I don't mean to be dissing them, but I've been doing my mirror work by when I'm out on my walk. And, my mom was on my walk with me and I didn't even think about it. So I need to still do my mirror work today. See, you can forget it and then just remember the thing. And I'll pick up the phone right after I'm done here and I'll pop in and I'll do that. Because you are powerful and you need to start doing the things. Clarity is going to come after the doing. You need to have that mirror work and you need to do it every day. You need to be out there speaking every single day and saying the thing. And then that's where I come in. Join us, visibilityamplifier.com. Ask us to help you out. We're not talking about something that's just more noise. We want to help your ripple actually reach. And that's what Visibility Amplifier is. And that's what it's for. You don't need louder strategies or more of them. You need clearer truth. See, the truth of the matter is your ripples are actually huge. They're just surrounded by so much noise that nobody sees or hears them. So let's fix that. Go to visibilityamplifier.com today. Let's get you going. Come meet with me. I want to get you clear. I've got some really great programs to help you really, truly be clear. And until we're together again next time, I hope you're happy, safe, warm, and loved, and that you have a great week.